Poštovani gledatelji, dobro večer i dobrodošli u još jednu emisiju Diplomacija. Sljedećih 20 minuta provešćemo uz ambasadora Arapske republike Egipat ovdje u Hrvatskoj, njegovu ekscelenciju Aymana Amina. Your Excellency, thank you for coming and welcome.
Thank you so much and thank you for inviting me.
And thank you for coming and taking the time for our show. You've been in Croatia for how long?
You can say less than 2 months.
Okay, it's a really short time, so I won't ask you about what have you been doing. I know you've been sitting in the office for most of the time, but I will ask you, what do you think of Croatia so far?
It's a very beautiful country. I was really putting it on my plans to come to visit earlier, but maybe now I have this opportunity, so I'm really glad to be here.
And what have you visited so far?
I visited Rijeka and I enjoyed there the carnival. The people were wonderful. The carnival was really amazing, exceeded my expectation. I met a number of people there. I went walking on the streets, and it was really a time of fun, let's say so. And I admire the invitation that it was by the mayor to come to visit his nice city. And of course, in the coming future, we will have cooperation between Rijeka port and Alexandria ports. So this is coming in the pipeline of number of agreements and memorandum of understanding between both countries.
And what was your journey to become the ambassador? What have you been doing before that?
You're asking about something of 25 years.
Okay, I mean, what have you been doing just before?
Before becoming a diplomat, I was a computer programmer, in fact. And I was, at that time, it was in 1994, 1995, the applications were completely different. So dealing with something, maybe the professionals only would know it, called COBOL 2 under Unix and Informix. This is completely something which is, but I worked it for a long time, yeah.
Okay, and then you've been doing something with the climate, I think?
Yes, just before coming here, I was a part of the COP27 presidency team for climate change. As you know, that we had hosted COP27 in Sharm el-Sheikh, and we were really honored by the attendance and the presence of His Excellency Blankovic, the Prime Minister. And of course, it was something important for us to have this dialogue with different countries around the world and to make our voice and other voices as well to be heard in this conference.
Definitely. We'll talk about climate in terms of collaboration between Croatia and the Arabic Republic of Egypt. But before that, I would like to ask you, what do you think about the relations, diplomatic relations between our two countries? How do you see it?
I think we don't have any political problems between Cairo and Zagreb. On the contrary, we all know, of course, that a non-aligned movement was signed here in Brioni between, of course, Marshal Tito and Abdel Nasser and Nehru. This was in 1956, long time ago. So most of the Egyptians command that and they remember Croatia. And by the way, of course, now you are much more heard by your fantastic football team and what they had scored of success in the World Cup.
Okay, before we continue on talking about collaboration between our two countries, can you just, for our viewers who haven't been to Egypt, can you describe your country?
Like I told you at the beginning, before we get on record on this program, I have a surprise for you. Egypt will start to operate in October, from October till April, in daily flights to Hurghada and Sharm el-Sheikh. So from Zagreb, direct flights to those two wonderful cities on the Red Sea. So you will have the opportunity to visit Egypt directly from Zagreb. You don't have to travel to Vienna or any other country nearby in order to have this chance.
That's a wonderful surprise.
This is of the things that, of course, that we are working on, and it will be realized in October.
Amazing. Thank you for this quite excellent news. And can you recommend us what to visit in Egypt? I know there are a lot of things to see,
well,
but
Egypt's a country of 5,000 years of civilization. And of course, you have different things according to your taste and interest. If you like, for example, more religious stuff, you can visit the places where Virgin Mary and Jesus been in Egypt, because it's like a big journey they had escaping from the Romans at that time. So you have to visit all of these places if you are interested in the religious aspects. If you are more into antiquities, of course, you have Luxor, you have Aswan, you have the Giza pyramids, and as well, maybe it's good to come to your attention that we will inaugurate the Egyptian Great Museum next July. Although now we have a soft opening, still there's a chance of Croatian people and other nationalities, if they would like to visit the museum, they can go to some parts of it, but it will be opened as whole in next July.
So this year or?
This year.
Okay, writing this all down.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So this is on your visit list as well.
Definitely it is. Thank you so much. Okay, let's talk about diplomatic relations between our countries. How would you describe our economy and trade?
I will tell you something. In the beginning, before I come here, I was just looking into the history of our balance of trade to see how the things are evolving. And to be honest with you, I could tell you that the volume was quite low. It didn't reflect the real dear relations between our both countries. But recently, starting from 2021 to 2022, we start to witness an increase in gas and ammonia exports from Egypt to Croatia. And the numbers start to escalate up high. So this is a good opportunity of diversification of energy for your country that comes in line as well with the EU strategy to diversify the inputs of the gas. Moreover, during the discussions that we had in COP27, we were talking about the green hydrogen. The facilities that can export gas are the same facilities that can export and import hydrogen as well, with some tuning, of course, in advanced technology. So still we have this opportunity to push more energy exports to Croatia, and from Croatia to Central Europe and some other countries in Balkan. Hopefully that your plans as well would match ours in this regard. So we have very strong possibilities on getting our relations stronger and stronger by time. For non-traditional imports and exports, one of the most important things that we really would like to increase the imports from your country is wood. Wood. Yes, wood counts as 80% of your exports to Egypt, and we hope to increase, of course, not the 80% as a total amount of the exports, but to increase our imports from wood from your country. This would be a good way as well to have different diversification from different countries that are exporting wood to us.
And do you know, are there enterprises in Egypt started by Croats and other way around?
Yeah, we have a number of foreign direct investment of Croatia in Egypt. Of course, ENA, the petroleum company, is one of them. They are working on exploration, oil and gas in Egypt. Those are the biggest. Comes other countries as well working on the export and materializing of the black sand. The black sand, this is something that we have in our region, and we have most concentrated in Egypt, where you can extract some materials like silicon and other important minerals to be ready for export. So there is another company as well, just don't want to mention names. So they were actually doing this with the Egyptian government directly. We have some small businessmen as well, accounted volumes between $6 to $20 million in manufacturing small ships for the Suez Canal and for the River Nile as well for tourism. So we have opportunities to upgrade this type of cooperation and economic relation between both countries.
Definitely, yes, I agree. I believe that we have opportunities to advance our cooperation in climate efforts as well. So there's your area. What do you think about
To be honest with you, we share the same sea. And sharing the same sea means that we share the same challenges. Of course, the risk of climate change and the sea level rise would hurt our coast. This is not only Egypt and Croatia, this would be as well other countries in the region. But maybe Egypt is one of the vulnerable countries of climate change, especially the city of Alexandria. This is something that we should take in mind. So we have already memorandum of understanding still under discussion between Egypt and Croatia in the sphere of environment. Hope that it will be materialized soon and we will sign it during this year. So we are doing our efforts in order to have this in line before the end of the coming year. Of course, we have in this pipeline number of memorandum of understandings and agreements need to be signed, almost between 8 to 10 agreements, and the number is jumping by time.
Okay, you've mentioned sea, so that reminds me from my next question, and it's about tourism. So how would you comment on the numbers? Are there lots of Egyptians coming to Croatia, and do Croats visit Egypt?
The numbers are still very little, around 11 to 13,000. Croatians visiting Egypt. From our side, we have almost between 3,500 to 4,000, only coming in the summertime. But the good news is that we will start to operate direct flights between both countries. So I think that this is, of course, will help more in having contacts, intensify contacts between Cairo and Zagreb.
And it will increase the numbers of tourists.
Definitely, using Zagreb as a hub for the region, will serve definitely the relations in this regard.
And how about communities living in Egyptians living in Croatia and the other way around? What are the numbers there?
Unfortunately, we don't have so many Croatians living in Egypt. This wasn't the destination for your migration, let's say so. But in history, let me tell you that Egypt had hosted almost 35 Croatians during the Second World War when the Dalmatia was bombarded by the warship. And they had stayed in a place in Egypt called the El Shat camp. And still you have their cemetery there, and His Excellency President Milanovic, when he visited Egypt last February, he paid tribute to the people who passed away in this cemetery. And one of the exciting stories about it, that one of our embassy employees, his grandparents had met in El Shat camp in Egypt. This is in the 40s, before the end of the Second World War. So we have a strong historical ties. And if you would like to go more deep in history, I can tell you that Dubrovnik was one of the competitors, of course, of Venice and other cities in carrying the pilgrims from Morocco, Algeria, and Tunisia to Egypt, and from Egypt to Hajj in Mecca, which is now Saudi Arabia. So this was done by an intermediate port, which is Alexandria, and of course with the help of the Dubrovnik fleet of commerce at that time. So this was something it's almost 1,000 years ago. So this is how, as well, to see a manifestation of the really strong relations between the people who are living on the sea, and especially between Alexandria and Dubrovnik. Moreover, by the way, we are about to sign a memorandum of understanding for cooperation between Rijeka, city of Rijeka, and the and Alexandria port.
Are there going to be like twin cities, or?
It's not twin city, but this is between the seaport of Rijeka and the seaport.
Oh, Okay, and how about Egyptians living in Croatia? How are the numbers there?
The numbers were quite low in the beginning, but after the accession of Croatia to
In the Eurozone?
to Eurozone and to the Schengen area, the numbers are going quite high. We have almost now 1,200 Egyptians here in Croatia. They are feeding the labor market in diverse fields, like, for example, delivery, construction, whatever. And we have skillful workers doing the job in the IT field. And we know quite well that your country is focusing on that field in particular to become a hub for all the EU countries. So we have some of the Egyptians are coming here, of course, and we hope that number of the Egyptians to feed the labor sector will rise subsequently in the coming years.
Of course. Talking about sectors, that's my next question. What are other fields or sectors that our two countries can cooperate on, in your opinion?
Like I said to you in the beginning, it is the energy sector and its gas and green hydrogen. Of course, trade is there for the wood part. Agriculture, hopefully that we can increase the Egyptian exports here for tomatoes and for potatoes and other stuff that you miss in winter time, and to have it directly between both countries without having to go through a third party in another EU nearby country to provide you by that, which is as well Egyptian products at the end. So hopefully that this will help as well to increase the exports from one part, and from the other side reduce the price that you have here in the local markets.
It would be amazing, yes. And what about education? Do you think we can perhaps do something on that?
We have a memorandum of understanding still need to be signed, and of course, we're looking for a number of scholarships for Egyptians to come here. We have, by the way, only a few students, undergraduate students in the Faculty of Medicine in Zagreb, and as well engineering, not more than 12 students. So this is a humble number, of course. We hope that we would increase this number and increase the student exchange between for example, between the faculties of medicine in Cairo and their counterparts here in Croatia. But this would be, of course, much more agreed once we sign the memorandum of understanding in education.
When will that happen?
Still is
Okay.
still waiting for
Okay.
So it's coming. But hopefully, as well, like I said, it's in the pipeline.
Okay, let's talk about culture for a few minutes. So how would you describe the cultural heritage? You've mentioned some of the things that binds us, Croatian and the Republic of Egypt, but what do you think maybe we can work on that as well?
The opera. I'm proud to say that I met the director here of the opera in Zagreb, and maybe we will start cooperation soon, celebrating our 30 years of diplomatic relations, to be by exchange of visits, exchange of ballet teams. So we are working on that. So I think that we will establish soon the contacts between the Egyptian opera and their counterparts here in Zagreb. This would be in the coming few days.
That would be amazing, and to meet your culture as well. I think you have so rich, amazing culture and so much things to see and to get to know. Speaking of it, what do you think about Croatian music, customs, food? Have you been able to try any of it?
To be honest with you, I didn't try Croatian food yet. Maybe still confined in this diplomatic zone, but of course I would like to go around and to try some of your dishes.
Okay, after the show we'll make you the recommendation list.
Give me the recommendations then.
Okay, and how about Croatian people?
I would say that this is the most good thing happened to me once I landed here in Croatia. The people are so nice, starting from the airports to the people in the. By the way, sometimes I like to take public transportation to know the city quite well. Everybody is nice. And the people in the street, they would like to help. All the people here that I met speaking English quite fluently, so I don't find any obstacles in communication. And this is something as well that serves Croatia being one of the leader in the touristic approach here in the Mediterranean. So no, I can tell you exactly, the people here are so much fascinated. Let's say.
Thank you so much.
Fascinated by those people.
Thank you. And if you had to compare the Egyptians and Croats, what would you say? Where are the differences, for example?
Let's talk about the conversions before not to talk about the differences.
Okay.
I think that both of them, they are quite kind people. We have the same, traditions, somehow being in the same Mediterranean area. So we have a lot of the same, same traditions, let's say so.
And what about climate? Do you find it too hot, too cold?
No. This for me is like heaven. Just was telling you that in Egypt, in the middle of this winter, because of climate change, we've been hit by severe hot wave in the middle of the winter. Didn't happen to Egypt before. The temperature just rised up to 31 degrees and suddenly went down to 17 degrees. Of course, would put the agriculture production and other things into peril. I know that as well here in the summer times, and you are witnessing extreme hot waves. This is something becoming global everywhere, and this needs, of course, the collective efforts from the international community to work on carbon sinks, to work on reducing harmful emissions, especially in our region.
We are near the end of the show, so before my last question, let me just ask you about Croatian language as well. Do you think you will learn the language? You will try to learn the language? Do you find it hard?
I started my first post in Poland. So I find a lot of similarities. So I will have time to polish my Polish language into Croatian, and it's on my list as well.
Okay. And my last question is, of course, regarding your plans for the future. So you will be here for the next 4 years minimum. And what do you have in mind? What will you do during that time? What you will be focused on?
I will focus on economy. I will focus on trade. I will focus on energy. I will focus on those strong ties. Like I told you from the beginning, that we don't have problems or any political disarguments between Cairo and Zagreb. And this is, of course, one of the things that would help much in advancing our relations forward.
I wish you all the best in your future work, and take some time to enjoy Croatian food and music and customs.
Thank you so much.
And I hope that you will see each other again soon.
Thank you so much.
Poštovani gledatelji, bilo je to sve u još jednoj emisiji Diplomacija. Lijep pozdrav i ostanite uz program televizije Jadran. Fuck.